he was gentle. But we don't want to make the mistake of equating gentleness with weakness. Jesus is coming again. And just as he once came to suffer and die, he's going to come again to conquer and to reign. The Apostle John, who referred to himself as the disciple whom Jesus loved. This is a man whose life was radically transformed by Jesus. He was there at the crucifixion. He spent time with Jesus after the resurrection. Now decades have gone by. He's the only one of the original disciples of those apostles who's still alive. He's seen all of his friends be murdered for their faith in Christ, and he has been sent into exile. He's on the island of Patmos right now. And he's an old man. And God says, God's not through with you just because you're getting on in years. We think, whenever we can retire at whatever age that is, then we're done. And yet that's not true. God is never done, not until our last breath. He has something that he wants and desires for us and from us and desires to do through us right until that final breath. There's a reason why we're all still here. And for John, in his late season of his life, God came and gave him a vision of the future. He allowed him to see what was going to come. And in Revelation chapter 19, verse 11, John said, I saw heaven standing open. Do you know, way, way, way back, many decades before, a young man named Stephen was literally, he was the first Christian that we know of that was murdered for his faith. And they circled him, and they were literally crushing him to death with rocks. And from his knees, he looked up and said, look, I see heaven open, and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God. He also said the same words that Jesus echoed from the cross. Stephen said, Father, don't hold this sin against them. Even as they were killing him, he was praying for his murderers. Or don't hold this against them. He wanted them all to be saved. Right? And now we see John all these decades later saying, I saw heaven standing open. And there before me was a white horse, whose rider is called Faithful and True. With justice he judges and wages war. The Lord is a warrior. The Lord is his name. He judges and he wages war. And then in verse 16 he continued, on his robe and on his thigh he has this name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Now that same Jesus, the same one who's coming on the white horse, the Lord is a warrior. That same Jesus knows your name. And that same Jesus, when he looks at you this morning, he can see the very day when you first started to crawl as an infant. He was there when you spoke your first word. He was there when you took your first step. He remembers very, very well the innocence of your childhood. He remembers it. He remembers every single time that you burst out laughing. Every time your eyes sparkled because you were happy, you were joyful. He remembers every tear that you've shed. Every tear. He remembers it all. And if you're not a Christian, his heart continues to ache for you. Because he says that you are fighting against him. See, Jesus says there's no middle ground. There's no gray. He said, he who is not for me is against me. And he says if you're suffering needless harm, that you need only to come to him by faith, asking to be a forgiven child of God. He loves you. He's drawing you to himself even now. Jeremiah 31:3, the Lord appeared to us in the past saying, I have loved you with an everlasting love. Another way to translate that word is a never-ending love, an everlasting love. I have drawn you with unfailing kindness. I look at my own life and in all of the sin that was a part of my young adulthood and my teenage years and my mocking of God and my language and everything else. And yet the Lord never said, all right, that's it, I'm writing him off. He never came to the place where he said, all right, that the last straw. See, he loved me with an everlasting love. He drew me with unfailing kindness again and again and again and again. And I rejected him, and he drew me, and he loved me. And I rejected him, and he drew me, and he loved me. And I rejected him, and he drew me, and he loved me. And I rejected him, and he drew me, and he loved me. Until one day I turned and genuinely looked in his face and said, "Yes, Lord." And then he changed me. And that's the story. And that's the story of God in the world. It's the story of what it is to have Christ in a moment in time step into his rightful position as Lord of our lives. How do we live this Christ life? I mean, that's really the challenge for us, isn't it? How do we honestly walk out this life of faith? How do we experience the power of God in our individual circumstances? Well, the natural answer is to try harder and to do more. But I'll tell you, I've tried that. And the only thing that trying harder and doing more ever got me was tired. That's all it ever got me. Because when we talk about the power of God working in us, and this is not to say that we don't come into places or times in life when we have to try or do. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about trying harder and doing more in order to try to get the power of God to work in my life. And it doesn't work that way. You can't earn the power of God. You can't do more to get that blessing. It's a gift. You don't need to do anything but simply receive it by faith. But how? How? That's the question. And the answer is very, very simple. The real answer to our struggles is one word. It's surrender. So if it's so simple, then why doesn't everybody do it? Well, I'll tell you. Because there are many of you in here who have not surrendered. And the reason is because you know the cost. Everybody doesn't do it because you know, we're not stupid. We got brains. We think about the cost. And for some of you, you're not going to surrender because you'd have to give up that relationship, the way that, or at least the way that your behavior in the relationship. Some of you aren't going to surrender because you're afraid, well, man, how this is going to impact the bottom line on my bank account. And some of you aren't going to surrender because you say, well, it's going to, no. And you take a look and you say, well, no, I want enough Jesus to get to heaven. And I'm willing to surrender some things. It's kind of like going out into the garage. There's a lot of things in there I'm willing to surrender. Okay? In fact, bring a pickup up to my truck this afternoon if you want to test me. Okay? But there are some things that I'd be less excited about surrendering. Okay? That's the way we can be in life. See, we understand there's a cost associated with surrender. And so there are many, many people who say, rather than I surrender all, I surrender all of those things that I'm not really attached to. Guys, that's not the key. It's the very reason why you continue to be engaged in battles in this life that cause you great heartache and great stress and great worry. It's because you've not surrendered. Surrender is simple, but it's not easy. Surrender says, Lord, I give you my life today. All of it. Lord, I give you my wife, I give you my children, I give you my house, I give you my possessions, I give you my times, I give you my plans, I give you my future. I surrender, Lord, it's all yours. You know, there are countless instances of the rescuers of drowning victims actually being drowned by the very person that they went out to rescue. Well, why is it? is that, look,